Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to the Men Save Your Marriage show. My name is Terry. I'm your host. I did an autopsy on my failed marriage, and now I use the lessons that I learned to coach other men on how to save their marriage before it fails. I'm going to share with you the things I wish someone would have shared with me before my marriage failed. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome back. Welcome to episode number 28 of the Men Save Your Marriage podcast. You just heard the bell. That means that we are back in the ring for a fight. We are fighting to save your marriage. And today, with episode number 28, we're going to continue the Mastering Communication in Marriage series. This is overall episode 28, but episode number 8 in this series. And today we're going to be talking about reading between the lines and how to understand what she is really saying. Of course, you know as well as I, you don't have to be married for more than 5 minutes or just be around women for more than 5 minutes to realize that it's sometimes the words, but more often than not, it's always more than the words that she's using and saying. And we're going to dig into this so that you can understand what your wife is really saying. She's talking, but are you really hearing her? Not just her words, but her heart. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's dive into this. Let's get into this episode and continue to fight for your marriage. So we're going to go deeper than surface level conversations. I'm going to teach you how to tune into the emotional frequency beneath her words. Because, well, here's the hard truth. Until you can do that, until you can read between the lines, you're not really communicating, you're reacting. Okay? And reaction just rarely brings connection. But understanding, deep understanding, that's where intimacy begins. And I will tell you from the jump, very often with the men that I coach and the things that I see and listen to regularly, this is a big misconnection. And this is an opportunity for guys to step up and really begin to hear her. Again, not just her words, but her heart. As always, I'm going to come at you with 3 points. We're going to jump right into this. Point number 1, words hide wounds. When she says something like, you're always late, it's not about the clock. It's not about what time you walk through the door. It's about the wound, okay? And she's not just annoyed, she's feeling overlooked. It feels to her like your job, your friends, even your phone matter more than she does. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been angry but you couldn't explain why? You felt something, but putting it into words almost felt too risky, too vulnerable, too raw. That's her. Except it probably felt like it's been going on for some time, and it's been happening for sometimes weeks, months, even years. Let me tell you about Kevin. He's a guy I coached last year, and his wife kept saying to him, you work too much. And like most guys, he went into defensive mode. But I'm providing. I'm doing this for us. I mean, that's the way we all think, right? One day I challenged him with it, and I told him, and he started to think differently about it. And I told him, don't just defend, because that's what you're doing when she says, when she says that, you're always late or you work too much, he immediately goes into defense. But I'm providing, I'm trying to make money, I'm trying to, pay the bills, whatever the case may be. He immediately went into this defense. And I told him, stop just defending, start asking. So that night he looked her in the eye and he asked. And when she said something, he asked, when I stay late at work, what does that feel like to you? So he didn't just defend, he asked. She paused. She thought for a moment. And very quietly she said, I miss you. That was it. Walls came down. Hearts came out. And they really got a chance to communicate and connect. Okay? So this is important that you understand this. So that's the first kind of tool. Let me give you that. Don't just defend, or when you feel you have that immediate response to defend, follow up by asking. Don't be afraid to just ask her, what's what's behind that? Why do you feel like that? Just like Kevin did, just ask. When I stay late at work, when I'm doing this, when I'm doing that, you get upset about it. But what does that feel like to you? Now you're starting to communicate, and you're paying attention to what she's saying, what she's not saying when she says what she does. Okay, so here's a challenge for you. When she brings up a complaint, don't take the bait and react. Instead, pause and then ask. Something as simple as, what's underneath that for you? What's hitting you the hardest right now? Now you're asking what she's feeling, not just what she's saying. Because it's not about reading her mind. It's just about caring enough to ask and listen. And we've heard that I've heard that a million times. I can't read her mind. You don't have to read her mind, but you're going to need to pay attention and know when to ask. Just what's underneath that for you? Wait a minute, you're upset with me about this. I get it. I understand. Let me ask you a question, and just keep it that simple. It's not about reading her mind. It's just about caring enough to ask and listen. And that's what makes a man a safe place for his wife's heart. Because then, now in that moment, you've heard her, you've heard what she said, but you've stopped, and now you're asking questions to care for her heart. So it's important. It's absolutely critically important to understand there are times when her words are hiding wounds that she's feeling, things that's hurting her, and it's not necessarily about the words she's saying, and it's up to you to ask the questions, to not get defensive, but ask and give her a safe place where she can just tell you the truth and tell you what she's feeling. All right, number 2, her tone tells the tale. Very often words can lie, but tone always tells the truth, and the tone in her voice tells the truth. She might say, "I'm fine," but her tone is cold, it's sharp, it's hollow, and she's not fine. It doesn't matter what words she used, she's not fine. Well, that tone is a flare gun. It's her heart calling out to you. Okay, what her heart's saying, I know her words said I'm fine, but what her heart is saying is I'm not okay, and I don't know how to say it safely. Okay, when her voice goes flat, that's not apathy, that's disconnect. She's disconnected from you. When she's loud and fast, that pain's wearing the mask of anger. Okay, there's a couple that I worked with. Let's just call them Mark and Emily. Okay, after fights, Emily would go quiet. Mark always assumed she just needs space. But what she really needed was connection. One night after a big argument, she whispered almost to herself, kind of just a under her voice kind of thing, and she just said out loud, just barely audible, "You don't even care." And that hit him like a freight train. He turned to her, looked her in the eyes, and he said, "Look, you sound hurt. Talk to me. I want to understand." In that moment, he didn't fix anything. He didn't rush to solve it. He just saw her. That was it. And he heard her tone, and he understood that there was more behind those words. And when he saw her, that broke down years of emotional walls. So here's your challenge. When her words don't match her tone, listen to her tone. When she says, "You're always on your phone," instead of getting defensive, just say, "You know what? You sound upset. What's really going on?" It almost goes back to that first point about asking, okay? And you got to understand the difference between her words and her tone. You're not being weak. You're just being wise. That shows leadership. That says, I'm present. I'm paying attention. I'm not afraid to meet you where you are. You're really just saying to her, that sounds, you sound upset. What's really going on? And it's not that I'm on my phone. What's really going on? Okay? And you're giving her an opportunity to open up her heart, but you've got to give her a safe place to do it. And that's how you can, tell the difference between her tone and her words. And her tone will tell you what is going on. Okay, number 3, the next one, respond to the real issue. Now, here's what a lot of men, sometimes I feel like most men, get wrong. And I'm just as guilty of this. You guys know me. I had a marriage of, more than 25 years that fell apart. And this was me for a long time. Okay? So what a lot of guys get wrong is they hear a complaint and they try to fix the surface problem. And they completely miss the emotional wound underneath. She says something like, you forgot again. And you say, listen, I'm sorry, I'll set a reminder. And I was guilty of those exact words. And it felt like I was going above and beyond because listen, it's important enough for me, I will set a reminder so that I don't make this mistake again. Well, that's really a Band-Aid. And the real issue isn't the calendar or the clock. The real issue is what she's really feeling is if she feels like she doesn't matter. And until you respond to that wound, then no apology is going to heal anything. One of my current clients, we'll call him Brian, he kept having the same fight over and over. Late nights at the office, his wife would lash out at him. Why can't you ever be at home, she would say. I can't tell you how many times he told me that one. And he kept promising her, I'll come home earlier. But nothing changed. Because he'd get to work, you're getting involved in projects, you got things going on for you know it. You've been there far longer than you anticipated. Okay, in his case, he owned the business. So it was easy to always find 100 other things that needed to get done before the day came to an end. But he promised her, I'll come home earlier, but then nothing changed. And because the real wound wasn't time, it was priority, his wife felt like she didn't matter to him. So finally, I coached him a little bit, and he figured out to where he needed to stop explaining and start empathizing. So the next time she got upset, he paused and he stopped and he said, listen, it feels like you think I'm choosing work over you or I'm choosing the business over you. And I want you to know I'm not. I'm here now and I see you. That was what she needed to hear. It literally just sort of melted her. Okay. Not because he fixed something, is just because he finally understood her pain and he put his words to it. And that was significant for her. So here's another challenge for you. When she's upset, resist the urge to jump into problem-solving mode. And oh, my Lord, am I guilty of that one. I used to do this one all the time. But instead, again, don't jump into problem-solving mode, but instead reflect on what you sense underneath, okay? And then you can offer some words and say something like, it sounds like you're feeling unimportant or like I've been distant. Let's fix that. That was just one simple sentence, but she feels seen in that moment. You're not just listening to her words, you're understanding her pain. It was very simple to say, right? It sounds like you feel like you're not my priority. Maybe it feels like I've been distant. Let's fix that. And that can be a game changer. And that is not weakness. That is emotional strength. And that's what husbands who lead with love do. And that's how you begin to rebuild trust, safety, and connection. All right, so let's recap for a minute. First of all, words hide wounds. Ask questions that reveal the heart. Secondly, tone tells the truth. Don't just hear what she says, listen to how she says it. Thirdly, respond to the real issue. Surface fixes don't heal emotional scars. It's important to remember these. Words hide wounds. Her tone is telling the truth, even if her words aren't. And finally, respond to the real issue, not the surface fix. Okay? You can't get defensive in any of this. But if you do this, as I said, this is how you begin to rebuild trust and safety and connection. Now listen, brothers, this is not easy work, but it's worth it. Okay, as someone who lost a lengthy marriage, a significant marriage, I promise you it's worth it. Okay, you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be present. And when you start showing up like this, in these examples that I use and in these lessons that I taught today, when you start showing up like this, that's when your marriage begins to shift from survival back to intimacy, because she is feeling seen and heard. All right, as we wrap up, here's your move for the week. Listen for a hidden message. That's what this whole conversation has been about, hidden messages. And respond not to the message, but respond to the heart behind the message. Regardless of whether it's her words, whether it's her tone, remember, it's not the surface issue, it's the deeper issue. Respond to her heart. Okay, that's how you can build connection. Finally, guys, I want you to remember to rate the show wherever you get your podcast from. Give us a 5-star rating and a review. I would appreciate it. And your 5-star rating and your review, a sentence or two, if this is helping you, please rate and review the show. This goes a long ways. You know how the algorithms work. When we get the positive ratings and reviews, they open it up and more people can see the show, and we can help more men. So please give us a 5-star rating and review if you can. We'd appreciate that. And share this with a guy in your world, maybe somebody you work with, maybe a brother, maybe a neighbor, a friend, whoever. There's somebody else in your world that you know is struggling in their marriage. Please share this show with them. Share this episode with them. And just offer it up to them as a friend and see if we can't help them as well. And the final thought, guys, here we go. Hearing her heart saves more than hearing her words ever will. Let me say that again. Hearing her heart saves more than hearing her words ever will. So until next time, keep leading, keep listening, and keep loving her with intention. Thank you, gentlemen, and we'll see you next time.